Yep, it had to start off like that, me being on mute. Good evening for all of our attendees that have joined so far. We're so happy to see all of you signing up to and spend your evening with us with Black Urbanism TO, and of course, our incredible guest speakers that I'll get into a little bit later. I see the numbers of attendees like slowly joining, so I'm not going to jump right into our presentation now. If folks could just wait till 7:05, give us a little bit of time, let our people come in, join, settle in, get some water, whatever it is that's going to make you feel the most comfortable, the most safe, and the most ready to retain the information we're about to give you all. Please do that. We're going to start exactly at 7:05. For folks who didn't, or for folks who have friends that didn't get a chance to get a ticket on our Eventbrite, they are more than welcome to check out our Facebook Live that's actually happening right now. Yeah, that has my face on it. That's so funny. Okay, I'm going to come back at 7:05, guys. Thank you so much for joining.
sound go a reggae lane. When artists come to town, they meet a reggae lane. One love is all around in a reggae lane. Pass the word around, love in a reggae lane. People all over the world know about reggae lane. Reggae in the reggae lane. We shout it on the reggae lane.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anika Mark. I am a proud organizer of Black Urbanism TO, and I'm joined right now with...
Good evening, everyone. My name is Romain Baker. I am the co-founder and chair of Black Urbanism TO.
Yes, thank you so much, Romain. You'll hear a little bit more from Romain later on in the end. But again, thank you all so much for being here with us tonight. Pathways to Community Ownership. This is a project that we have been thinking on. It's been our brainchild, and it's one of the reasons why Romain and Dane started to do this work, is that we can really preserve a community that's really impacted us and meant so much for so many people in the city of Toronto, but internationally, really. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to start off, just for those who don't really know about Black Urbanism TO, I'm going to give you our brief mission statement. So we were founded in 2018. We're a nonprofit organization engaging with Black communities, businesses, and spaces in Toronto. Budo seeks to protect, promote historically Black ecosystems through cultural, economic, and social development. So that's a little bit of us in a nutshell. I'll kind of go through later on as to how you can connect with us directly or through our social media platforms. But that's us in a little bit of a nutshell. And one of the first communities that we've been organizing in is Eglinton West, Little Jamaica. So before we kind of start off the meat and potatoes of why we're here, I'm going to give a land acknowledgement on behalf of my team and myself as a person who needs to continuously acknowledge Indigenous reconciliation. So we want to start tonight's event by acknowledging that Eglinton West, Little Jamaica is on the territory of the Toronto Purchase, Treaty Number 13, the traditional homeland of the Mississauga of the New Credit First Nation. Let me run that back. Treaty Number 13, the traditional homeland of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. As a team, we've had to ask ourselves, what does the concept of reclaiming our cultural hub of Little Jamaica mean on stolen Indigenous land? How do we start a conversation about enfranchising Black, Caribbean, and African communities in the city of Toronto with the acute understanding of the colonial histories of violent Indigenous displacement on this land? What we hope to explore in this research project is, what are the interests of Indigenous communities with respects to land in the Little Jamaica area? How does community ownership of land in Little Jamaica impact the Indigenous residents of Eglinton West? And what does it mean to center #LandBack while working to save ethnic local economies and neighborhoods, societies, families? It's a hard and complex conversation to have, but for Budo, a non-negotiable conversation. This research work must be informed by a community, neighborhood, and ecosystem that dates beyond any settler arrival. As an organization, we are committed to not upholding systems of oppression, for community ownership to be a well we can all drink from, a table we can all sit at, and a home that no one gets displaced from. Black Urbanism TO is proud that our organization embodies principles of knowledge and resource sharing and the prioritization of collective community care for marginalized peoples. Together, and only together, will we win. In that vein, normally we kind of do like a little African, honoring our African descendants, our beautiful ancestors, but we actually have an incredible community leader, cultural leader, book publisher, self-published, but also has a number of poems and other published works. He's an actor, a playwright, so many more, so many hats. So I'm gonna welcome Mr. Brother Unblind to the stage to perform a libation ceremony to ground this beautiful conversation that we're having right now. Brother Unblind.
Thank you, Anika. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, it's fundamental, and I'm very happy that you reached out to me to integrate the different realms into this gathering. We want the ancestors to be part, and we want the ancestors to be thankful and to uplift our gathering today. We want creator, creatress to uplift the gathering. And in the African tradition, we pour libation. The libation connects the water to the plant, to the earth, and it connects us to our roots and to our soil. Going back to ancient times, people poured libation to pay homage to Neter, the creator, creatress, and their ancestors, understanding that life is but a cycle in which we go from the realm of the living to the realm of the ancestors, and that we need to commemorate and uplift those energies so that we can be in sync and that we can continue their mission. So it's very important. I'm going to pour a libation. The libation is coming from the ancient Kemetic tradition of ancient Egypt, which is one of the ancient roots of ancient African people. And it's going to speak in the ancient Metu Neter. There are two things you can actually do. You can stand up in homage and put your right hand in your heart and your left hand up like this, or you can go on your right knee and you can I'll start the libation. I'm going to say a chant. The chant is going to be Inene Neter Itayem Keperonk. Inene Neter Itayem Keperonk. And then after that, I'm going to say some words just and pour some water into the plant. So I'm going to adjust a little bit to make sure everybody can see me clearly. And we're going to get started. Inene Neter Itayem Keperon. The meaning is we submit to the divinity that comes through us in the form of all our opportunities, which we choose to call challenges in life. And we welcome those opportunities, stroke challenges, to rise in our understanding of who we truly are and to enlist the assistance of our ancestors. Inene Neter Itayem Keperon. Anekraten atef mupneter. Itayem nebercher. Da'u en cha'az. Da'u for creation. Da'u for everything in the world. Da'u for life. Itayem amen. Da'u hitep. Da'u for the peace which is our nature. Enable us to live according in the likeness of this peace, to bring harmony to everything around us, and to grow by living truth. Itayem oser da'u enonk. Dwell for the peace that enables us to be one with all things in all situations, knowing that all things in all situations come in order to bring us wisdom and those spiritual power so we can welcome them in our lives. Itayem tehuti da'u medu neter. Dwell for the word of God that comes to us, to wisdom, to intuition. Enable us to go to the word of God to uplift everything that we do, to want for others what we want for ourselves, and to seek the peaceful, harmonious resolution of all perceived conflicts. Itayem seket da'u enonke. Dwell for our discipline, our destiny. Enable us to welcome our destiny and all challenges in our lives as opportunities to grow and better understand our true destiny. Itayem ma'at da'u meneh benonkin ma'at. Dwell for the 11 laws of our spirit. Enable us to abide by the laws of our divinity, to create harmony in our lives, to want for others what we want for ourselves, and seek the peaceful, harmonious resolution of all conflicts, bringing truth to the light in everything that we do. Itayem helukahuti, do paket apep huset. Enable us to slay negative emotions and mambe hutet, not to seek revenge, but the upliftment of any perceived wrongdoers, and only to judge ourselves. Itayem heru do chet akut. Go for the freedom from the emotions, to know that they're children of impotent revolt, and they cannot coerce us to be a thing. Indeed, we're always free to live our divine life, our finest life. Itayem het heru, do demo marehul hetep. Go for our divine self-image. Enable us to hold the image of our divinity in our spirit at all times, to live as divine beings at home in the community and all the work that we're doing. Enable us to see ourselves in the eye of wisdom and to know ourselves as being divine. Itayem sebek do sepian onkin ma'at. Go for the crossroads. The crossroads enable us to go to the word of God, to uplift our spirit, not just our emotions, ideas, and conditions, but to check them with truth so we can be illuminated and those around us as well. Itayem oset do sainonk. Do great mother yemo ya sasir ya mamiwata. though great mother for the peace, though for the devotion to being austere, to being a living being of light and of truth in all that we do. Itayam Geb, though Keb Sen Bet, though for the laws of our physical body, enable us to eat healthy, breathe pure air, do exercise, and all that we need for our physical body to be full of chi to manifest Oser. Itayam Potneteru, though Seru Keperank, though for all the angels and the powers of Ra, enable us to reach our divinity and command those powers for the benefit of all of humanity. Itayam Pot Shepsudan Chaz, though for our enlightened ancestors, though for Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, though for Tutankhamen, though for Hatshepsut, Queen T, though for Queen Nzinga, though for Dudley Laws, Charles Roach, though for Marie Angelique, though for Mathieu de Costa, Olivier Lejeune, though for all those who came before, though for Steve Biko, Patrice Lumumba. Enable their energy to come, vitalize this organization and all that we're doing so that we can manifest our divinity on earth once again and bring forth our divine traditions, enabling our ancestors to live again through our great actions on earth. Though in the terror for the peace, though for the harmony, enable everybody of this gathering today to be in harmony and live in truth, uplift themselves with living and doing what's right, and be aligned with their divinity in all that they do. Dwell for the peace, dwell for the harmony. Enable this gathering to bring together the forces necessary for the elevation of all those around us and the freedom and upliftment and autonomy of our community. And Kahuti for setting the way by clearing the brush in front of us, the sword of justice and of truth, the sword of justice and of truth, the sword of truth and of justice. Neta Itayam Keperon Anichak, which means we empower all the divine energies that are coming forward in this day and time to promulgate truth and uplift us. And we empower in humility the wisdom of our ancestors to manifest within our spirit. And that of all those gathered today, Du'a'u for sharing the space and enabling the ancestors to live again through your divine actions. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you so much, Brother Unblind. It was so beautiful. Like I'm literally just kind of sitting here feeling the power of those who came before us. And I also just want to speak directly to those who work and have been organizing in Little Jamaica. We love you and we thank you so much for bringing us a life we didn't know we were ever going to need in this city. Thank you for being you. Thank you for your entrepreneurial spirit. And for letting us be who we are today. I can speak for myself, but I know my team feels the same way. So thank you so much, Brother Unblind, for honoring our ancestors in this space. Without further ado, I will get right into our guest speakers. I'm so honored to start off this beautiful event with Mr. Courtney Betty. So Mr. Courtney Betty is a former Crown Attorney at the Department of Justice Canada, representing the Government of Canada in complex tax, commercial, and litigation matters. Mr. Betty has applied his 20 years of extensive legal experience in both government and the private sector, especially in the areas of international business development. Betty's Law is a unique consortium of lawyers committed to excellence in the delivery of legal services, combined with a passion and committed to justice and equity. Without further ado, and one of Little Jamaica's community cultural leaders, Mr. Betty.
Oh, thank you, Anika. I really appreciate it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure for me to have the opportunity to be here to speak to you. And, you know, I did a little bit of reflection, more so than a presentation, you know, and when I think about it, you know, we can all agree that property ownership is a foundation for economic efficiency, stability, and generation wealth. You know, if we reflect on the history of Blacks in North America, the essence of slavery was actually to prevent us from owning property. And then at the end of slavery, an announcement was made that Blacks would receive 40 acres and a mule. Well, we all know how that went, right? In Canada, we've had certainly some individuals that have ended up owning property, and that's been really good. But I kind of reflected a little bit, and I recall like my parents when they came to Toronto, They live down at Bathurst and Davenport, not far from the community, and my aunt and others. And what they did was they created this system. Many of you might be familiar with it. If you're from Jamaica, I'm sure you are, and other communities have it, which was called partnership. So every week you would take $20 or $50 or $100 and you take it to the banker. And at the end of it, you'd have your draw. And with that draw, you would then go out. Many people would purchase things that were important for them. And so these individuals were in effect to create a mechanism for owning property. Today, we're looking at a similar concept for economic development. First of all, it's built on trust, right? And that's one of the things that we're talking about, a trust. Well, a trust is even more important for a community, because one of the things that we all know, the whole Willie Lynch syndrome and all of that, and everyone that understands any of it knows that one of the things that's been really beaten into us is that we shouldn't trust each other. So for me, the whole concept of how do we try and revive and save our community, and I say our community, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, the Oakwood-Eglinton community, is that we need to trust each other. You know, as a graduate of Oakwood Collegiate, the Barons, hopefully maybe some of you have gone on to Oakwood, one of the great schools, really helped me in advancing my development. The Oakwood-Eglinton community really took on a very special meaning for me. In fact, it's like the place that kind of preserved my culture. It's a place that I could go, you know, on a Saturday in my sweatsuit and feel completely at ease. Well, now all that has changed, right? A lot has changed. We now have this new term that we hear called gentrification, right? So we see organizations such as Metrolinx and the subway that they're building, destroying many of the businesses in our community. None of this development is really going to help the Black individuals to own businesses in the Eglinton Oakwood community. Many business owners, unfortunately, they were short-sighted. They did not purchase the properties that they run their businesses out of. Now we have skyrocketing real estate. Someone told me just today that the real estate prices in Toronto are even greater than they are in New York City. So the dreams that they may have had of owning property is now gone. That is why I strongly believe the Black Urbanism TO is critical. The strategy of creating a legal framework where the community can pool resources to buy back what is rightfully ours, because really and truly, this is our community. This is every Black person in Toronto, no matter which area you come from. It is the center of our community. And others have developed, but there's nowhere in Toronto that's even close to what Oakwood and Eglinton represents. And so it's interesting, being a lawyer, I always look at things from a legal standpoint and looking at how we can replicate, you know, things that were done by even my mother or my aunt many years ago to try and own property. And whether that be the creation of a trust or one of the vehicles that I find really fascinating and interesting is a limited liability partnership. A limited liability partnership is, you know, in many ways similar to the partnership, the concept of partner that our parents utilized. And under a limited liability partnership, it allows individuals to contribute whatever amount of funds they would like towards purchasing property and other elements of development within the community. The benefit is that they get a return based on a prorated return based on what they put in and the growth that's going to happen. Because if you're purchasing real estate in Toronto, chances are good that you are going to be earning revenue. The other part of a limited liability partnership is that, you know, you potentially could also get tax write-offs and other elements such as leaving the funds within the limited liability partnership and then pulling it out, which would also reduce your taxes. So I find that approach to be very interesting. And so that is why, you know, when it comes to Black Urbanism TO, I can say without, you know, any doubt at all, that I am prepared to contribute my legal skills. I am prepared to contribute my passion for my community in any way that I can. Again, I really feel, you know, this has been the last 2 years for me, and some of you that know who I am, it's just been an incredible period of time because we now have a movement that's being created. It's a movement, however, that has a short window. I mean, if you think back in 2020, how active and how, outspoken many people were. We're starting to see that fade. And so this is why I really feel that this is our moment in time. So what I'd love to see is let tonight be that spark. Let tonight be that motivation for each and every one of us to see how we can contribute, how we can make a difference. Really and truly what I'm saying is asking us is that we have to stand up for our rights. Because the problem has been that because we've not stood up for ourselves enough, we allowed large entities, we allowed outsiders to come into our community and now take ownership of it. And so we have to fight back and literally stand up to see how we can regain our ownership. And so, again, I want to thank Black Urbanism TO for the incredible vision that you have, for the individuals that have committed their time even to bring this event together. And, it's very interesting about the roles that we play in society, because many times we don't even know how critical the work that we're doing and the long-term impact in terms of not only legacy, but also developing generational wealth. So I salute all of you in terms of the work that you're doing. I salute everyone that has decided to be here tonight. And I'm really optimistic and hopeful that, again, we can start to build a movement to take back our community because it is ours. And we've given up so many things in the past. Let us not lose Oakland and Eglinton. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Betty. What an incredible way to start this event off. Yes, so profound. And Mr. Betty is he is a community legend in Little Jamaica. So he's a little modest about that. But we are so honored to work beyond with Mr. Betty on this project. And that's really all of our guest speakers really embody what this project, what this initiative is about. So thank you, Mr. Betty, so much again. Absolutely incredible. Can you turn off your camera? Is that okay? Thank you so much. Just for the Facebook aesthetics. Kate, awesome. We're gonna move on to our second guest speaker, Mr. Sam Carter Shimai, who is a board member of the Parkdale Neighborhood Land Trust. Can't wait. So I'm gonna give you his big bio and then I'm gonna give you his small bio because his small bio is like all of us, you know what I'm saying? So his longer bio, Sam Carter Shimai is an urban planner with a love for the unexpected and overlooked opportunities that cities have to offer. As a planner, Sam applies an inquisitive and critical approach, seeking to work with communities through direct engagement and participatory interventions to demonstrate viable solutions for complex urban challenges. Sam draws on a broad skill set informed by a multidisciplinary background in planning, cultural geography, photography, and collaborative design facilitation. Sam is currently the corridor plan lead for the Bentway. Prior to joining the Bentway team, Sam worked on affordable housing and transit-oriented development strategy with SVN Architects plus Planners as a researcher for the Ryerson City Building Institute and as a special assistant to Councillor Joe Cressy. Sam currently serves on the board of Parkdale's Neighborhood Land Trust, working with residents to support a growing portfolio of community-owned housing and grassroots economic development efforts. His small bio is, I'm Sam, just another kid who grew up on the 32 bus, trying to leave the city a little better than when I found it. And that is me. That's my aura. That's why I do this work. So thank you, Sam, for the long bio and for the incredible work that you do in the community and for being us, for being relatable. So without further ado, Sam Carter Shimai.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Nika. And I can't believe I'm going to be speaking to you all after Mr. Betty. It's just great to be here speaking with everybody. It's such an exciting moment. So before I get into this, I prepared a few notes, but I feel like the vibe of the evening compels me to just speak a little bit more from the heart to you all. And so that's what I'm going to do. In addition to so first I want to just orient myself here. I've grown up in Toronto my whole life, as I said, on 32 bus for a long time. But I want to draw a connection between my connection between where the work that I'm doing now with Parkdale Neighborhood Land Trust and my long-standing, my forever connection with Eglinton West. So basically, these two poles define my life in Toronto. Right, the very first neighborhood I knew was down in Parkdale, and then as our family grew and changed a little bit, we ended up closer to Eglinton. And I don't think that I would be a planner here today if it wasn't for that bus, and all of the access that I was able to get from that. And so from that starting position, I recognize, you know, with my like professional planner hat on, I recognize the opportunity that that all of this change, the transformation of Eglinton, the subway, I recognize the opportunity that presents, but I also recognize that that opportunity doesn't make itself available equally. And one sort of, as I was putting some thoughts together, one thing a similarity that I wanted to sort of point out between Parkdale as community and communities that we all live in and are connected to up in Eglinton West is that historically these have been communities that have been the subjects of change. We have not been participants in the change, but change has happened to us. And fundamentally, I think that, fundamentally, I sort of reject that is the only way that it could be. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about an alternative, a different way that I think is really exciting, and that is community land trusts. And so I guess just to start, I want to sort of speak a little bit about what is a community land trust. And I think the easiest way to break it down is by thinking about it in the three words, right? It is about community first and foremost, and not just in a sort of by virtue of proximity sort of way, but a community that is deliberate and organized and intentional together. And when I wasn't part of the sort of formation of the Parkdale Land Trust, but as soon as I joined the organization, one of the first things that struck me as being not just like window dressing, but deeply like powerful at the core of the way that that community is organizing is that from the very governance structure of the land trust as a nonprofit entity, it is member driven and involved. That means that to be a member of the Neighborhood Land Trust, you need to be a resident or a user of the spaces or you know that you work or are employed in the neighborhood. And as a member, then you have opportunity to elect the board who makes decisions. And I don't want to get too deep into the governance pieces of it, but only to say that this is hugely significant because this means that the membership, the decision makers, and the community, the constituency, are one and the same. This is organizing by the community for the community. And this gets me to the next piece. The land. The focus of the Community Land Trust is in disrupting sort of the conventional models of land ownership and land exploitation. Mr. Beatty recognized and mentioned that property ownership has been and continues to be a huge driver of economic opportunity and possibility, but the like barrier to entry just gets higher and higher and higher. And without changing our approach, providing new strategies or ways of looking at this, I'm afraid that we won't, we'll just get more of the same. And so focusing on control of the land is a way of controlling our destiny. It's a way of establishing agency and self-determination, because that is how we set our roots in this place. And finally, it's about trust. And I will leave it to the legal professionals to dive into the intricacies and nuance of what exactly a trust is as a legal financial mechanism. But what I want to focus on is quite simply that it's about trust, and trust in like the simple terms: trust between you and I, trust that is established in this room, trust that is established by our regular routines, breaking bread together, working together, and relying on one another. There's, again, when you combine this community with access and ownership to control over land and trust among each other, then you have something really powerful. and really that's, it's the interplay of those three components that I think changes the game and gives us, again, I would say it again, but gives us a different way forward, a way forward that we are able to control and have some say in our future. So as opposed to being, again, as I said earlier, the subjects of change that is happening to us and to our communities without much say or significance one way or the other, we can take this moment to really change the game and put ourselves at the table with a voice, which is the starting place for really, brighter futures is what we're all I think working towards. I guess the other thing, so sorry, give me a second. The Parkdale Land Trust started about 6 years ago, and when it started, Parkdale Land Trust didn't have much, right? There was a bunch of ideas, a bunch of neighbors, community members who were coming together to organize to pursue this sort of radical alternative dream, and people didn't think anything was going to happen. But by staying true to this vision and grounded in those principles of community trust and connectedness to our neighborhoods, our land, we're able to take that dream and make it real. And that's what I think is so exciting about where we're at today. This is very much the beginning of a similar process, an extension of the work that I think we all need to take part in, that I think is growing across the city. And that project, that process started with meetings very much like this one, and that turned into some research work, and with that research work we sort of identified gaps and understood the landscape that we were entering into, and very quickly realized that there were no existing supports. There was no program set up to enable this sort of trajectory, and so we decided that it was nobody else was going to do it, so it was on us to sort of blaze a path. And that doesn't mean that we got it right the first time, doesn't mean there weren't hurdles or challenges, but it just meant that we had to take each step deliberately and go forward a little bit more. So we took that research and we were able to establish, bring it to the city and establish a pilot project towards acquisition of a single rooming house. And then based on the success of that, we were able to again say, now city, you're at the table with us. So what are you going to do about it? Like, how are we going to take this forward? And I think that in council today, there was a debate around introducing a new program towards like a standing acquisition program by the city to allow this model that not that long ago was frequently laughed out of the room, or at least kindly put to the side, is now a real policy, and it's real change. And it's not just that it's not, and I guess I'll leave it by saying it's not just about what any one organization or one neighborhood is able to do, but the fact that by pursuing this trail, this work together, we can materially affect change, and both on the ground in our neighborhoods, in our communities, among our people, our cousins, our friends, our colleagues and co-workers, but also within the system that we orient ourselves and organize within, changing it from a system that is purely based on exploitation of resources, exploitation of real estate at the expense of our communities that fill these spaces with such life, to a situation that is again affords us a agency and self-determination, but also allows us to redirect that the growth and the proceeds, the benefits of our collective success back into our neighborhoods, to ensure that it's not just about what we're doing today and what our neighbors are doing, but so that the next generation can grow up with not just access to more opportunities on the bus, but the knowledge that their voice matters, that their community came together to ensure that what made this place special, that what allowed us to sort of come up and experience all of the joys and trials and tribulations of our complicated lives is rooted here and will not be changing. Sorry, it will be changing, but we will be in the driver's seat. We will be part of driving that change and making it happen. So I hope that that's a little nutshell about where we're at and where we're going. And again, just I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all.
Sam, we're so happy to have you. Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. Parkdale Neighborhood Land Trust has been a source of inspiration for our team for a long time. I'll actually give the credit to Black Cultural Zone. It is an organization in Oakland, California. Just for the essence of time, I'm not going to go too much into it, but they do a lot of organizing in building back Black ecosystems in Oakland, California. And I remember Romaine and I met with them, and it was super inspiring. And we were like, where is this in Toronto? Where is this in Canada? And we came across PNL&T. And since then, it has been like one of those like goals, like on our mood board, aspirations type. I'm gonna let my team speak a little bit more to like our journey coming here, but I just wanted to point out like how influential Parkdale Neighborhood Land Trust has been to our understanding and our conception of land trust, and reminding us how possible this is. So thank you so much, Sam, for being here and for sharing on behalf of Parkdale Neighborhood Land Trust. So I'm gonna get right into our next incredible speaker. This one's personally my favorite because Junior doesn't have a bio. He didn't send me a bio, but backstory as to like our first introduction with Junior. So we had a consultation. This is like the Buddha origin story. Folks will talk a little bit about this later, but we had a consultation series, and Junior was one of the iconic business leaders to come in there and remind us of what real commitment looks like, what it means to be authentic in Little Jamaica, and why it's very important. And just giving us that nuances of what was going on in Little Jamaica. Junior came and he shut it down. He shut it down. And since then, we've literally always connected. I'm gonna let him speak a little bit more, but his introduction to us was real. He was we know a lot of the business owners in Little Jamaica, but Junior and I have a really close relationship. We have a lot of really great conversations about liberation, about community ownership, and about life. So I'm personally so honored to invite a good friend, community leader in Little Jamaica, business owner, son of an iconic business owner. Yo, let me hand the mic, bro.
Thank you, Anika.
Please, yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for that introduction. I'm Junior Lewis. My mother and father is Monica and George. They own Monica's on Eglinton. We've been there from Eglinton, Oakwood from like 1970, coming around to 1974. We're at the landmark spot we're at right now, Monica. We've been there since 1974. What I'm passionate about is when I grew up on this block, I've been on this block since I was a kid from 7, coming up here and watching everybody come together. And back in the days, Eglinton was like Little Jamaica. If you had a friend anybody who came into Toronto and you wanted to find your friend, you just talk to somebody on Eglinton, and next week you'll find your friend standing there with you. We had a lot more community, a lot more unity. We had a lot more people doing things. Then my dad got into music. When he got into the music, he started working with people in England, Jamaica, the Caribbeans, and we didn't really make records, but we distributed our own product. We made our own product, and music was the thing that brought everybody to Eglinton. We had music playing on the streets. We had music on the sidewalk. Like everybody was coming to Eglinton to buy the music. Or when my mom started doing hairdressing, they came and got their hair done. They came and, you know what I mean? That was a hub where anybody who's basically Black would know my mom, and anybody who's basically Black would know my dad. Anybody who's got a West Indian background, they would know my parents. And it's more like I got into this more when Black Urbanism came to me and said, hey, we want to do ownership. I was like, wow, we finally got an opportunity for somebody to do something in our area that means something besides just we have pizza coming over here and somebody else is coming over here. Everything that's not Black anymore is coming onto our block. And then we had the opportunity where they sold us the thing that we're going to have a subway coming in here, and then Subway's going to help us out, and then Subway's going to do all these different things for Eglinton. Right now, the Subway has really killed us for the past, 20 years? It seems like it's 50 years, but it's been 20 years the Subway's been going on. businesses kind of fallen off. And in that period of time, a lot of the our Black customers would be coming. They've gone and branched out to Scarborough, they've gone to branch to somewhere else. And now they're not even buying from the Black. Since COVID started, we have this Black initiative, say, buy Black, be Black, do everything Black. But then it's kind of like a clouded, it's not even real. Because at the end of the day, I'm still on Eglinton today. I don't see that many Black people. They only come if they're gonna go buy jerk chicken at night, if they're gonna go buy Randy's, they're gonna go buy, you know what I mean, one or two products. Their hair products, they don't come and buy from us anymore. Their music, they don't come and buy from us anymore. Everything is kind of like Courtney Betty was saying, it's kind of driven away that we don't have anything to do with it. It sounds great. Little Jamaica sounds wonderful. The name sounds beautiful, but our community is not really there. If you come to our community right now, it's not looking the same way it used to look 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or whatever it is. So the whole idea of like, there's a lot of vacant spots there right now. Sitting there, just like somebody said to me the other day, instead of us being entrepreneurs, why don't we just go buy a Tim Hortons, put our friends in there. A whole family comes together and buys it, or people from Jamaica come over there. Anybody who wants to come to go work in our Tim Hortons. It's Black owned, it's Black this. We can have our own Black McDonald's. We had everything on Eglinton. Doesn't matter what kind of food it is, as long as we all come together as one and start using that as our passage for everybody to come to Eglinton and be on Eglinton. So I have this passion now, since you showed me that we can own property, is to get people who we know. Courtney Betty's like a good lawyer. He knows, he's been in our community. He knows my mom, he knows everybody. And what he said is right. We just all have to come in together, trust one another, and come together as one, and then set this block up to be what it used to be back in the 70s and the 80s, where everybody used to come to and just enjoy themselves. Eglinton now, when you say Eglinton, is like, but it shouldn't be like that, because when you want to get your patties, you line up all the way around the corner to get your patties, and then you run, and you go line up to get your jerk chicken, then you run. But when you want to have entertainment or anything that's Black, you say, let's come back down here and just get that little feeling and go. Anybody comes from any other place, they're going to say, here, if you want to find somebody, come on Eglinton, ask somebody on Eglinton. He must know where your friend is. He must know where it is. I want to try to bring it back to that life, that where everybody can come back on Eglinton and enjoy it. We need a trademark. We need something like TO, Little Jamaica sign on there, so everybody can come and take a picture and say, hey, I went to Little Jamaica, I've been here. Because I've been to Miami, I've been to Atlanta, I've been to New York, and only New York has like Brooklyn, where Flatbush and Church Street is almost like what we have. Nobody has what Toronto has on Eglinton. When Eglinton does what it's supposed to do, when we had our little kiddie carnivals and all that stuff, nobody has that in the world. Eglinton had that first. Yes, we have little troublemakers, we have little things that go, but that happens in everywhere. But the bulk of it all, everybody used to be, that used to be the place. Now you have little Scarborough here, your little Brampton, but Eglinton is the spot that everybody will always use of their tongue as a West Indian, say, this is where my friends are, this is where my peoples are, this is where everybody is. So I would love to revamp some of those places. But then here's another thing too. My parents are getting old. We're all gonna get old. When we get old, we wanna be somewhere that we can feel comfortable in, walk around and feel like we're at home. I don't wanna sit in my house looking out the window and look at my neighbors and they're not like me and they're not like you, but we need a retirement home. We need a library. We need things that, a place where the kids can come there and, you know what I mean, sit around and understand where Eglinton really came from, where your West Indian families came up from. Just like how these natives and everybody said they lost all their people, we're losing our people. But now in the 20s in a whole different way. Not because of COVID, not because of anything else, just because they're pushing us away. But when COVID was going on, we had this Black Lives Matter, we popped up. Now let's continue this matter so we can own more buildings and own more things. I don't know what it takes, because nobody's got $1 million to go buy these properties, but somebody's buying them. We just put a new building up on our block. I'm pretty sure it's like 90% owned by white people, 10% Black people in there. So we need to get into these buildings. If they're revamping condos on our block or something, we need to get in there. We need to show our faces in there. We need to be a part of it. And you know what I mean, for Black urbans in Toronto to be here, I think everybody should be happy we have something to say that we have that's Black, and it's going to take us to another step, which we never had before. When we used to look for an application for a job or go somewhere, they see you as a Black person, they close the door, hang up the phone. Now we mean something. So we got to make sure with our mean, we got a value and we got a dollars and cents, and our kids can come back and enjoy it the same way. Just like how I met you guys, and I'm here now in front of you guys doing what I got to do. I just love Eglinton. I've been on Eglinton. I just want Eglinton to be the West Indian hub that everybody used to know it to be. Bring our fun back, our carnivals back, our street carnivals, our food, everything that's Jamaican, anything that's West Indian, bring it back there. Even the music, because music is the spice of life. It brings everybody together. And that's what we used to bring on there. Hear our music outside, nobody telling us to turn it down, nobody doing anything. We were happy. Now, whole nother story. Black Urbanism, Toronto, great. Just keep on doing great things. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate this moment. And all I want to know is everybody, please come back to Eglinton, buy a Randy's Patty, buy Jerk Fit, Jerk Chicken, go to Raps, go to Spence, go to Monica's, go to Discount, go everywhere that's on Eglinton, please, at least one time. And we thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you.
Junior. Thank you.
Hold on. I got one more person.
And Junior's mouthpiece here, just to be quick. My name is Katie Ann Graham. Greetings, everyone. Junior's has been a close friend of mine for over 20 years, and Monica and George are family friends. I just wanted to add that a reminder that the power of Eglinton, as Junior mentioned, the family has been there for over 50 years owning their building. Many businesses, Black Caribbean businesses were there, jewelry stores, music stores, food stores. The world used to come to Eglinton for their fashion, for their hair, for their style, for their roots, for their culture. We have influenced the world and all of Canada. And so I totally agree with what Courtney's professing and what the Black Urbanism TO is professing, the significance and importance of us owning property and keeping our community there, COM, capital UNITY. As I mentioned, the world used to come there for our food and our roots and our culture and our fashion. But we can also keep the world coming to Eglinton if we come together and trust each other, because we have so much to offer in Black science, in Black technology, in Black engineering, Black roots and culture, Black healthcare. We can still keep our legacy going and alive by coming together. There's so much more that can be offered. And I hope that the city of Toronto trusts and supports what's needed to be done, because we do need to still have a representation on Eglinton. And in hindsight, it's just like Junior said, when Metrolinx came, it was supposed to bring more business, make it more economically convenient for people to come. Instead, it ruined businesses. People cannot park, people cannot drive down there, people cannot come. And so businesses had to close down, because how can you pay for something when you're not bringing in the revenue? So the city does owe that community and that area a whole lot, and we need to come together. Thank you for your time. Bye.
You guys are incredible. That was Miss Katie Ann Graham. Junior, thank you so much for being here and for coming out. Yeah, that's family right there. That is family. So we thank you guys so much for both of you being here. Turn off your mic, please. Before y'all just start doing stuff in the background and we just be hearing y'all. I love those two. Thank you so much, Junior and Katie Ann. Yeah, that's real family stuff. And I just want to reiterate, come to Eglinton, shop till you drop. Come out and support a cultural hub that has been thriving and that has made your city fun, that has made your country fun, that has given us opportunities that we cannot even, we can't touch. So yeah, thank you guys. And also just thank you to the legacy of Monica's Cosmetics, one of the only Black people to own their property in Little Jamaica. And we love that. We support that, and we can't wait for this initiative to continue to build on that with other business owners, and also Monica herself, make sure everything is blessed for her and that she can be there for the next 10 years. So without further ado, I have our last absolutely incredible speaker. This one I'm really excited about because it really allows us to open up this larger conversation. Yes, we've been talking about Black people. Yes, we've been talking about, African and Caribbean immigrant communities that have, made something incredible in our city. But this organizer, Chi Tam from Friends of Chinatown, they're going to walk through a different, but also just as equally important cultural hub in Toronto that is also at the claws of gentrification. So Chi, if you want to show your beautiful, lovely face, thank you so much. I'm going to give your intro. Hold on, wait, hold on, stay right there. So Chi Tam, organizer from Friends of Chinatown. Friends of Chinatown is a grassroots organization comprised of artists, architects, writers, journalists, business owners, residents, and community activists fighting for community-controlled affordable housing, economic justice, and racial justice in Toronto's downtown Chinatown. Our advocacy centers the needs and voices of working class, senior, and immigrant communities who rely on Toronto's downtown Chinatown for cultural and economic resources that are unique to this neighborhood. Our mission is to build community power and resist displacement through political education, intergenerational collaboration, coalition building, and community-based art. We aim to represent, build, preserve, and honor the memory and future of Chinatown and its community members as an integral piece of Toronto's legacy. And I can just stamp that really integral piece of Toronto's legacy. So without further ado, Chi, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Hello to everyone here. My name is Chi Tam, pronounced she and her. I bring the well wishes from all of the organizers at Friends of Chinatown Toronto. Congratulations to the incredible leadership of Black Urbanism Toronto in launching this project. What a joy it is for me to be here and witness that. For those of you who have not met, that is who we are, Friends of Chinatown Toronto, and that everything that she just said is what we're fighting for: community control, economic justice, racial justice. And the way we want to do this is in solidarity with other neighborhoods that are fighting against this very same planned transit and growth planning induced gentrification, which we recognize is well on its way in Little Jamaica. So we, like you, are seeing the loss of what we call culturally competent businesses that are affordable and serve everyone, inclusive of the poorest among us. We, like you, are seeing people buying buildings side by side and kicking people out left and right with no regard for real human relationships, or even a mom and pop shop that has been dutifully paying their rent on time for the last decade. That makes no difference. These people don't see the sweat and sacrifice of people who have been targeted by Canada's racist immigration policies, may I say, that Little Jamaica and Chinatown has been built despite these racist immigration policies. And it's worth reminding ourselves that they weren't that long ago. The Chinese Exclusion Act was initiated in 1923 and ended in 1947. The West Indian Domestic Scheme of 1955 was in place and in effect until 1967. And this is why it's so important to organize our neighbors and educate ourselves about our history and about what we plan to do in the future for alternatives, exactly like you plan to do here. It's not lost on us that this model of community ownership as an act of mutual aid, as an act of survival, and as an act of resistance under the settler private property system was gifted to us by Black people. Let us never forget that community land trusts were invented by Black civil rights organizers whose lineage is meaningfully connected to the story we are witnessing here today. And I want to highlight a very little known history of solidarity between our communities. For example, as early as 1902, Alderman William Peyton Hubbard, Toronto's first African-Canadian councilperson, fought against a racist license fee that the city had put forward, which was designed to unfairly target Chinese laundries specifically. This was in 1902 that he fought for this. And today, white supremacy still wants us to fight each other for scraps, to turn our communities against each other, to make us feel like there's such a scarcity that we need to hoard knowledge and opportunity for ourselves. But we need to heal. We need to heal from this. I need to heal from my grandmother's trauma, clinging to private property, how she was forced to bury her gold under soil, only to never see it again because of war and displacement. But we're not going to give them that satisfaction. We are going to heal as a diaspora. We are going to honor the struggle of the immigrants who came before us, who risked everything and labored to fill these streets with music. But we cannot turn to those who are coming up today and say, because I made it, you need to suffer through the same thing that my grandma went through. And we're saying, no, our neighborhoods deserve better, and that our grandparents shouldn't have had to go through that for us to have this conversation about community ownership today. So what could community ownership mean for us? And indulge me, and let me quote my own forthcoming article written with the brilliant Keisha St. Louis McBurney, titled Comparing Notes, and an anti-displacement organizing from Little Jamaica to Chinatown. Let me read you this bit. Advocacy for community ownership cannot be limited to the property systems we currently live in. Even, let's say one day, every racialized neighborhood land trust has substantial real estate portfolios and stabilized stocks of deeply affordable and adequate housing. The calls for Indigenous land back must still be honored by racialized immigrant communities to fulfill our treaty obligations on this Indigenous land and achieve reparative outcomes for all our communities. We have experienced directly the harm of imperialism, of colonialism, of racial capitalism through conventional planning systems, creation of settler private property on Indigenous land. And this should inform the very urgent grounds for solidarity between our communities and Indigenous organizers. So community land trusts are a great tool. They preserve affordability and are a temporary means to an end, but in the long game, they're a workaround for community care and survival in the system that we live in, but not the final destination. But in the interim, community ownership also means not waiting for solutions from others, not waiting around for policy and promises of regulation from the system. Community ownership means doing this for ourselves because the neighborhood is disappearing now and we can't wait. And to us, community ownership means doing something that no single one of us can do alone. And that is to take property and businesses off of the private market. I can't buy my landlord out by myself, right? I can't buy the business that I work for from my boss. My boss might be retiring, but I can't do this on my own solo. But together we can. We can own and protect these economic assets in our neighborhood together directly and anchor them here. And that's what prevents displacement. And that's why the project you all are about to launch is so significant, and that should not be lost on this city and beyond Toronto. To us, community ownership is also, I think, a way of thinking. What excites our organizing is that there's this understanding that when your community doesn't have access to systemic power, you build your power by being in community with one another. So it is life affirming to be here, to witness you all moving forward with this. And I think our shared vision that we have discussed before is our neighborhood's future being one of abundance, where we imagine a city where our neighborhoods are directly controlled by the many and not the few. Thank you so much for having me.
Sorry, give me a second. I'm a Pisces, y'all, so I'm very emotional. Chi, thank you so much. Such a beautiful way to just wrap this guest speaker portion. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. Thank you so much, T, Friends of Chinatown. Go on our Instagram now so you can follow all these incredible people that have spoken. They will be placed on our social media for you to follow. I also see that folks are raising their hands. I love it. We're not gonna take questions right now, but I am taking active notes of folks' names. And I think that there's also a chat feature where you can type us a question and we'll receive it. And if we have time at the end, maybe we'll read them out. But I think also we kind of wanted just to keep it to the orientation today. But we do want to hear all of your questions, all of your feedback. We have folks on our Facebook Live who are actively chatting. So thank you guys on Facebook. Hey, I feel like I didn't say hi to Facebook. Hey, y'all. We have a couple people on our live stream right now. So yeah, right now we're going to do a little intermission, a little, stretch your legs, go get some coffee. If you need to go outside, breathe in that beautiful, cold Toronto fresh air, do it. We're gonna give you a little bit of Pan Fantasy. So Dane, if you wanna start her up. But I'll just give a little bit of their bio for folks that, are interested in maybe potentially having them come out to an event. They do pre-recorded videos of their performances. So they can come out to a physical event, but you can also pay them to have them send you a pre-recorded video. So we're gonna throw that on the screen for you guys, give you a little steel pan to warm your hearts. But yeah, Pan Fantasy is band leader, Captain Wendy Jones, supervisor Edwin John, and arranger Al Alos Foster. Pan Fantasy formed more than 35 years ago by a group of community-minded volunteers. Pan Fantasy Steel Band, a subset of the North York Intercommunity Youth Group, wanted to make a change in the Jane and Finch community. The goal was, and continues to be, to engage youth and for the youth to learn leadership skills through the performing arts. I personally grew up on Steel Pan. I live Weston Lawrence area. And Weston Lions was a huge space for youth, for community. And one of the things that we're known for is the incredible steel pan. So I'm very excited for this little intermission, little break. So once again, we're gonna rejoin. Our team is going to do a full actual orientation, a presentation on the Community Ownership Initiative. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We're not done, far from done. We're just gonna play you some Steel Pan by Pan Fantasy, and we will be back shortly. Thanks, y'all. Intermission. Big up Pan Fantasy one time. Two times. We love Steel Pan. And I can't wait for one of those to be the beautiful reintroductions back to Eglinton is our Steel Pan. I love Steel Pan. But anyway, it's not about me. It's not about me. We are going to get right into our presentation as Black Urbanism TO. So I'm wondering if my incredible peers and colleagues can turn their cameras on. Amazing. So I'm not going to talk too much after this because my team has an incredible presentation. So I'm gonna hand it over. But welcome to Black Urbanism TO, our official orientation for pathways to community ownership. Take it away, y'all.
Thanks, Anika. Well, first and foremost, just want to thank everyone for being with us this evening. My name is Dane Williams. I'm the co-founder and director of partnership and consultation with Black Urbanism Toronto. Just give me a second. I'm just going to share my screen. So let's do this. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to. Okay, so again, thank you for joining us this evening as we launch the Pathway to Community Ownerships project. Before we get into providing an overview of our organization and, the work that we've done within the community and what the project will look like, I'd first just like to introduce you to my colleagues, and I'll just pass it over to them.
Hi, I'm Ruth Belay. I'm the Director of Planning and Policy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Olu Velasa. I'm the Director of Community Economic Development.
Thank you both. And actually, before we get into the formal presentation, I was thinking about it because I know we've had Courtney, Sam, Junior, and Chi really emphasize community and trust and working together and collaboration and all those things. And first and foremost, just like to give a shout out to the Jamaican Canadian Association and their partnership with us, in going through this project. As well, just want to give a shout out to the Metcalf Foundation, our organization, and the Opportunity Fund to give us this opportunity to really do this research and this work. I also want to give a shout out to the U of T Masters of Planning students and the work that they've done with us, preliminarily starting to really look at community ownerships and different models. And then as well, just want to give a shout out to Catherine and Jason as well, professors at University of Toronto, with really working with us on our application and just, all the time that's spent. And I think it's just really important for us to really just live in the realm and really acknowledge all the work that has happened and all the work that other individuals have, had in helping us get to the point that where we're at today. And finally, just like to acknowledge the Black businesses on Eglinton West. I mean, they are the core of everything we do and all the work that we've been able to do. And without them actively participating with our organization, none of this would come to fruition. So just like to really identify and acknowledge those key individuals and placeholders before we get into this project. So getting into Black Urbanism Toronto, we considered our duty to ensure that the Black business owners along Eglinton West have the ability to engage in and influence the policies and plans that directly impact their livelihood. As you've heard multiple times today, Black Urbanism Toronto aims to increase the participation, both cultural and interest of Black people in community development to advance the collective cultural, economic, and social interests in the neighborhoods that we call home. So just like to identify our visions and mission, this was actually great because this shot was taken in the summer of 2021 when the farmers market on Sundays was happening. It really brought that kind of what Junior was talking about, that live spirit back to the neighborhood. So the purpose of the project is to support community ownership research for African Caribbean small business owners in Little Jamaica through wealth building models informed by the community. It looks at Black businesses and the economic uncertainty they face, as well as systematic barriers to access financing from traditional lenders. It is imperative to bridge this gap by securing affordability, long-term commercial spaces for the Black businesses within Little Jamaica. And this was something that I was kind of thinking about sidebar as we were going through this, is that this is an important conversation to have within community. When conversations take place around preservations of neighborhoods that are in traditional spaces like Little Jamaica, it usually lands on preservations through arts and culture, which we recognize and acknowledge the visual importance of those factors in our neighborhoods we live in. However, a topic that has been consistently omitted from the discussion is the preservation and advancement of Little Jamaica's legacy as an African Caribbean business district, where Black entrepreneurship and community building is fostered. A place where commercial spaces are affordable and ownership of commercial spaces is accessible for Black businesses to both be sustainable and grow. So I would like to pass it over to Ruth.
Hi, everyone. So the images we have up on the screen really denote what's happening all over Toronto today. They almost seem identical, but yet they represent very different communities all over the GTA. All over this great city, you see the impacts of development, of gentrification and displacement. You see communities across our communities, such as Jane and Finch, Chinatown, Regent Park, as well as Little Jamaica, grappling with the impacts of gentrification and finding ways to support placekeeping efforts for local residents and businesses in order to continue to exist, grow, and, as she beautifully said, the struggle for survival. As we, in Little Jamaica, sorry, Thane, next slide.
Okay.
Thank you. In Little Jamaica, you see the impacts of transit infrastructure on the businesses, and it's a catalyst for the displacement of Black businesses as well.
Perfect. So, with this, as we look at the screen and the pictures, this is what Little Jamaica looks like today. It's the result of transit infrastructure development that is laying the foundation for gentrification, erasure of Black history in Toronto, and cultural displacement. This is a pattern of behavior that we see again and again here in Canada. The most obvious examples being Hogan's Alley in Vancouver, Priceville here in Ontario, and Africville in Nova Scotia. The reggae history, Caribbean culture, the vibe and sense of community that we experience in Little Jamaica has been present for almost 50 years. But even prior to construction of the Crosstown LRT, systematic barriers and anti-Black racism really stunted the growth of the neighborhood and prevented the neighborhood from realizing its potential with official recognition, adequate investment and upkeep, and ability for Black business owners and residents to advance their interests.
Thank you. So since conception in 2018, Voodoo has worked with local communities, partners, and other actors, hosting several in-person and virtual community consultations, published research reports such as the Black Business Conversation Report, and commissioned UFT report, Placekeeping in Little Jamaica, guided city council motions such as supporting Black-owned and operated business motion, and preserving the past and protecting the future of Little Jamaica motion. And collaboratively launched a business recovery grant with Reclaim, Rebuild, Eglinton West in response to the financial pressure and displacement of Black businesses within Little Jamaica due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Pathways to Community Ownership Initiative is the culmination of community feedback, research, and recommendation produced from Voodoo's accomplishments within the illustrated timeframe. Ruth?
Thanks, Olu. Black urbanism seeks to achieve the following 4 goals of conveying, identifying, informing, and driving change. We aim to convene and have meaningful conversations that are rooted in building relationships. Convening also is an opportunity to amplify the voices of the local community. Through building these relationships, we'll also be able to identify opportunities for partnership and collaboration. The goal is to continue to co-create with the local community and other partners. Building awareness of different resources available is also, and identifying existing gaps are also important parts of informing the larger public and on the key elements of ongoing work, whether it be processes run by Budo or processes that are external, run by the city or other partners as well. Breaking down barriers and accessing information and accessing traditional planning and policy processes and economic development opportunities is also a pivotal element of building this awareness. Seeking and identifying drivers of change are core elements to the work that we're planning on doing and the work that we have done to date. Change occurs through a multitude of mechanisms, and it's important to recognize the impacts that this can have both on the local and the broader community. Supporting drivers of change will allow for strategic approaches to growth and development that allows for economic opportunities for businesses and residents. So in terms of convening is a core element, as I stated earlier, part of Budo's mandate. We seek to amplify voices through listening, collaborating, and finding opportunities to build in supports. Our goal is to meet people where they're at and bring them into both traditional and new processes for co-developing with local community. Our work to date really speaks to the importance of having these conversations, but also transforming them into tangible recommendations and pathways forward. We have been active parts in hosting conversations with Black businesses, residents, through a variety of mechanisms, including Instagram Lives, with community leaders, supporting other municipal processes as well. The Pathways to Community Ownership launch will continue these efforts and look for new ways to provide these tangible supports that I spoke about earlier to local businesses and understand various ways and pathways to both ownership that is both collective and individual.
So we actually were able to co-host a 2-part Black Business Conversation consultation series back in February 10th and 12th of 2020, which feels like forever ago. The Black Business Conversation report was then released in July 2020. You can find the link on our Linktree and Instagram. So if you're interested and haven't taken a look at some of the recommendations and the work that we were able to do with some great partners, you please, access our Linktree on Instagram, and you can take a look and read the Black Business Report. And the report was detailing the compounding issues faced by Little Jamaica businesses due to ongoing construction, future development, the current COVID-19 pandemic, as well as selected recommendations to address. In these sessions, Black business owners on Eglinton West were engaged in discussions on the path that they want to take into the future. We believe as an organization that this Black-led engagement approach demonstrates that members of the community are well able and equipped to plan and implement culturally safe engagement forms to not only identify issues, but to also present solutions. This set the standard for how Black communities living in other parts of the city, such as Jane and Finch, Lawrence Heights, and Mount Dennis, can participate meaningfully in city building. And just to really highlight, a lot of the work that we're currently doing came out of the Black Business Report. So, one of the things that we heard consistently was, community asset management and how we can look into, affordable commercial spaces, and as well as, give these Black businesses an opportunity to own their space. So here, I just wanted to present, we were able to, create a Little Jamaica rendering. The Black Business Report, the beautiful rendering, and it was in Romaine's background, was done by Tora Cousins Wilsons. And again, you can take a look at this information in the Black Business Report.
Thank you, Dane. So we believe research should translate to implementation. As touched upon, recommendations from the Black Business Conversation Report emerge from local community. The report's recommendations on preservation, ownership, and opportunities for growth were used as the foundational blocks to build out the Pathways to Community Ownership initiative. Next slide.
So to inform, as an organization, we work to provide an opportunity to create space and to hear their community's concerns and speak their minds. It kind of ties into the previous slide where, we also work to inform them on information we've learned, whether it's to support them through grant opportunities or information that we've heard from various stakeholders that really, influence the decisions that are happening in the community. As a part of our Informing Community initiative, we were actually able to create an event with York University, and it speaks for creating space for placemakers and community builders in Little Jamaica to engage with those who have been involved in similar initiatives elsewhere, to learn from their successes, mistakes, and seek recommendations on how to approach the current challenges within the community. It's actually, if you do go on YouTube, you can search York University envisioning Toronto's Little Jamaica Cultural District, prospects and challenges. So, for us, this is a really, one of the most major pieces is really to inform and, provide the space to have conversations with these business owners, really understand what their concerns on, and look at how we can activate and work together in creating innovative solutions.
Yeah, thank you. Drivers of Change is a core goal and system change approach Budo uses to address systemic issues faced by the Black businesses owners and the broader community in Toronto. The system change approach is two-pronged. It seeks to transform social, political, economic policies that create barriers for Black businesses and incorporate ground-level projects in collaboration with local community to produce positive outcomes for Black businesses' growth and expansion. Some examples of this include providing $35,000 to Black businesses in Little Jamaica during the COVID-19 pandemic via Black Business Grant, as well as developing relationships with post-secondary institutions like U of T to research and recommend change traditional procurement, ownership, economic models that act as barriers for Black business owners seeking growth opportunities and diversification.
So for the past 2 years, Black Urbanism, in collaboration with the local communities and other partners, have been doing the groundwork and the ground research required to look at the different mechanisms of opportunities for growth without displacement, economic development opportunities for existing and new Black businesses, pathways of ownership, both individual and collective. As my colleague mentioned earlier, as part of the Black Business Conversation Report released in early spring, we've heard recommendations from local business owners and community members on barriers to ownership of commercial spaces, has on growth, business growth and potential. And the land trust model has been a part of that recommendation and a suggestion from the community that speaks to supporting access to commercial space that is both affordable and allows for that community wealth building opportunity. Budo, along with the U of T graduate students, planning graduate students, started to explore the benefits and requirements of different planning tools, including land trusts. The Pathway to Community Ownership will build on the findings of these two very pivotal reports to more broadly look at the opportunities for ownership in Little Jamaica. Through funding received from the Metcalf Foundation, who has supported the development of other land trusts in Toronto, Parkdale being one great example, Black Urbanism is launching a process to have conversations around ownership, economic development opportunities, and other community preservation tools. My colleague Olu will now provide a description of the goals and the objectives of this upcoming project.
Thank you, Ruth. The purpose of the Pathways to Community Ownership initiative is to increase property ownership for Black businesses on a collective and individual level. Through the initiative, Budo claimed aims to do the following. 1, advocate for the recognition of the commercial history of Little Jamaica. 2, development of an economic democracy curriculum that aims to increase the future readiness of existing Black businesses through digestible content that covers business development, financial literacy, and ownership models. To increase accessibility, the curriculum will be offered in print and online to local businesses. Number 3, conduct a property ownership analysis to develop an inventory of businesses and landlords, current leaseholds, and identify potential acquisitions for a Black-led CLT or alternative ownership model in Little Jamaica. I'd like to send it back to my colleague, Ruth.
So the Pathways to Community Ownership project will have a number of moving pieces. As part of the process, we will continue to our existing efforts of partnership development and building opportunities to co-create with community and other actors. We'll also be focusing on building on the research and data gathered through conducting a community mapping project and analysis. In terms of engagement, we will continue to convene and facilitate conversations around ownership and affordability, economic opportunities and supports for the local Black businesses, cultural and heritage protection as well. And lastly, we will be working towards developing an economic democracy curriculum that will support Black businesses specific to the context of Little Jamaica, but may also have applicability in other parts of the city as well.
Perfect. So I think one of the most important things for us as well is just transparency and really understanding the governance structure of Black urbanism Toronto, and also putting faces to names. I know, we've definitely participated in the community in some aspects, but I also think it's important to understand each of our ties to the neighborhood, who we are, where we come from, and also just look, get an understanding of Black urbanism Toronto and how we organize. I think, we just really want to be as transparent and visual as possible. And I think in this communication as well, what the most important thing is how we bring community into the work we do, how we bring community to inform our directives. At the beginning of our visions and mission slide, we talked about community, Budo being the vessel of community. And we truly believe that. For us, the work is to advocate for these businesses who have worked so hard to create a space for people like myself and on our teams to just unapologetically be themselves in spaces that visually reflect their culture and their history. So just to get a better understanding, we have 6 units that report directly into the executive director, so Romaine Baker. All covers the core functions of the organization, so operations, communications, research, partnership and consultation, community economic development, and planning and policy. I think the most important thing that we want to highlight is our structure as an organization is around the community council and developing a community council. The function as a group would be community advisors that will provide guidance on the work we do within the Little Jamaica neighborhood, as we cannot do the work without community. That is truly the core of everything we do. As such, we see this as a very integral wing of the organization, and we will look to develop, to advise and inform. We hope that they would look to develop and advise and inform the work that we do on this current project and any future projects. So without further ado, I'd like to actually just formally introduce you to the Black Urbanism Toronto team. So if Black Urbanism Toronto, if you guys can just take off, get on camera if you aren't already on, just so we can introduce the team. So guys, do you wanna formally introduce yourself?
Sure. So like I said earlier, my name is Romain Baker. I am one of the co-founders and chair of Budo. I've been living in this neighborhood for the past 7 years, and it's very, very dear to me. It was one of the reasons why I chose to settle in this area, because of the culture and proximity to that feeling of belonging and home that I wanted for, my future family. And so I've had the privilege of raising up my two little girls up in this neighborhood and having them being exposed to what it means to be, of Caribbean descent. It's very meaningful. So this is a work that is very dear and passionate for all of us, and that's what we bring to everything that we do here at Budo.
Awesome. That's awesome, Romain. And quickly, my name is Dane Williams. My grandma actually settled here in the 1970s. My mother arrived to Canada, I believe, when she was 14 or 15. She went to Oakwood Collegiate, George Harvey, Central Tech. I was born in the neighborhood. My grandma still lives at 420 Winona Drive to this day. This neighborhood has been very dear to me. Being a Canadian, being a Jamaican Canadian, for me, I always felt as if, first and foremost, my family always made fun of me not being Jamaican and being Canadian. And I think, Eglinton West gave me that feeling of, my culture and pride and feeling as if I was Jamaican, and, that those interactions were really integral for me in the development of my understanding of, my people, my place, and, what it just means to be Jamaican. So, I hope in the future that as we continue to grow and to develop and push, we will have these spaces available to, African Caribbean individuals who are looking for their identity. They have a place where they can see themselves in. So I'll just like to pass it over to Johanna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Johanna, and I'm the Secretary Treasurer at Budo. And I also grew up in the neighborhood, actually a neighbor to Dane's grandmother at 450 Winona. And I definitely believe that, that everyone should benefit from the changes that are happening in our neighborhoods. I'm grateful for the opportunity that Budo has given me to contribute. And thank you for all 92 of you that are in this room right now. We definitely appreciate the attendance and yeah.
Hi, I'm Ruth Belay. I introduced myself a little bit earlier, but I'm the Director of Planning and Policy. I actually am from Scarborough, and I grew up, I was raised and born in Scarborough, but Little Jamaica was definitely an important hub for other Black communities as well across the GTA. There are so many people who live across this large city that are able to access their cultural relevant and see people who look like them in their own different spaces. As a planner, I'm definitely invested in looking for new ways to continue to support our communities and to allow for a new way of planning and engagement that really centers our communities at the heart of it. So thank you all for joining us today, and we're looking so forward to getting to continue this work, and the work that this work is built on a long legacy of the efforts of so many people that came before us to build our communities, but to continue to push and advocate for our communities to grow, not just to be preserved, but to grow in a way that encapsulates what we want for the future. So thank you for your contribution to that work, and looking forward to working with the community and other partners who are on this call today.
Awesome, Ruth. Thank you so much. I don't think Haida's with us today, so Anika?
Hey, y'all have been seeing me, but my name is Anika Mark. I'm the Director of Communications, so I'm the one on the socials and all of that lovely, great stuff. So feel free after this conversation to send me a DM. I will definitely relay it back to all of the team. And yeah, your feedback and all of your comments, you know, even just like a big ups, all of it is super helpful and really keeps us motivated for this incredible project that we're undertaking. I've been a West End girl my entire life. I love the West End. I live Jane and Weston area, but I went to Oakwood, and my dad actually is like an Oakwoodite. So he lived in the Oakwood Vaughan neighborhood for his entire childhood. So the Oakwood Vaughan Eglinton area, it lives with me. I used to go to Little Jamaica to get food, and it never dawned on me that it was Little Jamaica because, you know, it's never been like a formal thing, Little Jamaica. But me and my friends would always it would just be like this intuitive, like drawing, this like general real connection where we're just going because the food's great, the vibe is there, there's Black people everywhere. You don't feel like you're some sort of outsider in your city. And yeah, so Little Jamaica has been really important for me as a Caribbean person. So my mom's Trini, my dad's Grenadian. Big up to Small Island people. But yeah, I love to be a Caribbean person in Little Jamaica. And I also just big ups to all of the Jamaicans who have been super influential for the city and for culture, period. And that's why I do this work, because Black communities, immigrant communities, we deserve to be able to just live in societies that we've created that are peaceful, that are about collective community care, that are about culture. It's not about, you know, this hierarchy or greed or anything like that. So yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I organize with my team, and I love my family. So shout out to all of us.
Thank you, Anika. I'd like to pass it over to Olu.
Thank you, Dane. My name is Olu, or my full name is Olusegun Valasa. I'm the Director of Community Economic Development. My father is Nigerian and my mother is Bayesian. They met in Rexdale, so I am accustomed to being a West End kid and just going around the Black community. For me personally, to keep it short, in my 9 to 5, I help businesses, especially Black tech and Black food businesses. So for me, I just want to build a Black community and not be interrupted by outside forces and kind of grow and just expand. And for me, I'm looking at it with my team and with the community. We really want to create a Black Google and just, you know, just do our thing, and that's it.
Thank you, Olu, powerful. I don't believe we have Ingrid with us today and Jessica, but just like to acknowledge both of them with Haida, as they are a core integral part to our team. So I just like to pass it over to Anika, just around the contact us. I know you did touch base on this, Anika.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this incredible slide, this is all of our social media. This is our email is our first one. So blackurbanismto@gmail.com, BLACKURBANISMTO@gmail.com. I realized I didn't need to spell that out because we have closed captions, but that's okay, whatever. Yeah, so that's our email. For those of you who are not on socials, you know, you're more of like a call me person, we know those ones. Send us your phone number through email after this webinar. If you're on our Facebook live stream, again, our emails, send us an email. We will call you directly. We would love this event is genuinely about community. Like we're here bringing this to you all because this is what we need. This is what we know we need. And so we really just want to convene as much community as possible, bring in so many, I'm going through the list and I know so many incredible people who have signed up to be a part of this webinar. And you are the types of people that we want to be connecting with after this event. So stay in touch with us, please. Like this is the point of this. So email us your number. I love to do phone calls. Well, not really, but I do phone calls. And my team I know would also love to jump on a phone call if folks want to do partnership stuff, anything like that. We have a website. It's a little under construction right now, but you can still go check it out. It's super dope. BlackUrbanismTO.com. Our Instagram, BlackUrbanism_TO. Twitter @BlackUrbanismTO. And then our Linktree, which has like the links to all of the reports that folks, just talked about in the presentation slide. It has links to some city motions also as well that went out. And there was also a motion on the provincial level as well. So check out our link tree. It has a lot of really incredible resources about Little Jamaica. And yeah, that's it for us. I realize now that we didn't get a chance to install the chat feature, so that's my bad, so sorry. But again, those are our socials. Hit us up. We want to talk to you, we want to connect, and we definitely want to partner. So thank you guys all again so much for being here. I've been your host, Anika, and I'm going to throw it over to our founder or our co-founder, Mr. Romain Baker.
Thanks, Anika. I don't know about everybody that's here, but I feel very inspired right now, just seeing how everything has really come together to get us to this point of where we are. This is a very significant time, and I hope that we can really appreciate that and walk away with that tonight. In 2019, when we canvassed Eglinton Avenue from Keele to Marley and back to Keele again, there were over 80 Black-owned businesses still in operation, even after a good amount had already closed their doors due to the LRT. Unfortunately, the vast majority of these businesses, they lease their properties, and as you know, they're susceptible to displacement and closure. And there are real barriers. As we talk to them, we hear their stories about how they've been running their businesses for 20, 30, 40 years without ever receiving a loan or a grant, that they pulled money out of their own pockets to start up their businesses. So when we talk about ownership, if they can't even, receive support to even start a business, how can we expect them to be able to acquire capital to purchase properties? So we've had the privilege of hearing these stories, and hearing stories from those who helped to build this neighborhood, those who live or used to live in the neighborhood, and those who have been coming here for almost 50 years to find that peace of home. And the more we learn about Little Jamaica, the more compelling the argument becomes to uncover and preserve its legacy and build on its future for the generations to come. So when Budo was founded in 2018, that was an act of resistance to help disrupt and change this narrative. And in the spirit of Garveyism, one of Budo's core values is the triad of liberation, agency, and power. Liberation from systems that have a vested interest in our oppression, and liberation from ideologies that convince us to participate in our own oppression. That's when we'll be in a position to think for ourselves, act for ourselves, and build systems for ourselves to fully exercise agency over our collective destiny and well-being. And that is power. Like Mr. Betty said, we have to trust each other. We have to be accountable to ourselves, accountable to each other, and accountable to our children and the generations to come. One of the outcomes of this project will be to share key findings with other Black communities in the city through the Growing in Place initiative that is led by the Confronting Anti-Black Racism Unit. So again, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight for this launch event of this project that has been in the works for like almost 2 years. We'd like to thank the business owners, Louis and Chi Tam. And of course, we want to thank our Black Urbanism TO team, Anika, Ruth, Dane, Olu, Johanna. You guys have done an amazing job of preparing this launch event tonight. And there's like so many countless hours that have gone into research and applications for grants and engaging with community and other partners. And you have to really ask yourselves, what is driving us to do this? And it's because we want a better future. When Marcus Garvey was traveling the world and seeing the plight of Black people, he created the UNIA as a solution to what he was seeing. And we have to really ask ourselves, has our condition changed since then? And the fact of the truth is it hasn't. So we're not recreating the wheel. We're not trying to start anything from scratch. We're really building on the principles that have really worked for us in the past, and to chart a collective future that is better, that we have yet to see. Right. So thank you again for joining us tonight. I am truly inspired, and I'm glad to see the 81 people still here. We hope to continue to connect with you, like our Anika and team said. Reach out to us via email, through social media. Unfortunately, we didn't have the chat function on here tonight, but throughout this project, we're going to be consulting with community, and so those opportunities will definitely be there for you to provide your meaningful insight and for us to co-create together. So hope you guys have a great night, and we hope to talk to you soon.